Sir, please listen. I'm a surgeon. There's a 6-year-old waiting for heart surgery right now.
Sir, remain seated while we verify your information.
I've already shown you my ID. I've shown you my badge. I need to get to the hospital.
He matches the description dispatch mentioned.
What description?
I'm wearing scrubs.
The
I'm going
child
to
could
work.
die while I'm sitting here.
I'm a doctor. A child is waiting for surgery right now. Those were the words Dr. Elijah Carter repeated as he stood on the side of the road at 6:42 on a quiet Monday morning. But the officers in front of him didn't seem interested in listening. One of them simply said, "Sir, remain where you are." The other stood behind him with his arms crossed, watching the highway traffic pass like nothing unusual was happening. Dr. Elijah Carter felt his chest tighten. This morning had started like any other. He woke up at 4:45 a.m. in his small apartment in downtown Atlanta. His alarm played softly. He stretched, brushed his teeth, and brewed coffee like he did every day. Today was important. A 6-year-old girl named Lily had been admitted the night before. She needed emergency heart surgery. Elijah was the only surgeon available who specialized in the procedure. He knew the girl's parents were terrified. He also knew they were trusting him. At exactly 5:35 a.m., Elijah walked to his car in the parking garage, still reviewing medical notes in his mind. Traffic was light. The sun was just starting to rise. Everything seemed normal, until the flashing lights appeared behind him. Blue, then red. Elijah checked his speed. 30 miles per hour. Exactly the limit. He signaled and pulled over calmly. 2 vehicles stopped behind him. Not police cars. Black SUVs. 2 men stepped out wearing dark jackets with federal badges. One approached the window. "Step out of the vehicle, sir." Elijah blinked in confusion. "I'm sorry, officer. Is something wrong?" "Step out of the vehicle." The tone was sharper this time. Elijah stepped out slowly. The cool morning air brushed against his face. "Sir, place your hands where we can see them." "I'm a doctor," Elijah said quickly. "I'm heading to the hospital." "Remain still." Cars began passing slowly. Some drivers stared. Elijah's heart began to pound. "I have identification," he said. He pulled out his hospital badge. It clearly read, "Dr. Elijah Carter, cardiothoracic surgeon." But the officer barely glanced at it. "You match a description," the officer said. Elijah frowned. "A description of what?" "Someone we're looking for." The second officer spoke quietly. "Vehicle matches too." Elijah felt confusion turning into fear. "Sir," he said carefully, "there's a child waiting for surgery right now. I need to get to the hospital." The first officer shook his head. "Right now, you need to cooperate." Elijah took a deep breath. "I am cooperating." "Then sit down." "On the ground?" "Yes." The gravel shoulder felt cold and rough beneath him. Cars continued to pass. People were watching. Elijah's hospital badge hung from his neck, shining in the early sunlight. He pulled out his driver's license. "Here is my ID." The officer did not take it. Minutes passed. 5, 10, 15. Elijah kept explaining. "I'm supposed to begin surgery at 7. No response. I can call the hospital." "No calls," the officer said. "But a child." "Sir." The officer leaned forward slightly. "You are interrupting." Elijah's voice cracked. "I'm interrupting because you're not explaining anything." Silence. The officers spoke quietly to each other. Elijah caught only one sentence. "He fits the profile." He looked down at his hands. He had never been arrested. Never even had a speeding ticket. Yet here he was. Sitting on the side of a highway. Helpless. Humiliated. While a child waited for surgery. Then something unexpected happened. A pickup truck slowed down. The driver pulled over a short distance ahead. A middle-aged man stepped out holding his phone. He began walking toward them. "Morning, officers," he said casually. They nodded. The man lifted his phone slightly and pressed record. What happened next would soon be seen by millions, and it would change everything. The man recording the scene was named Michael Torres. He was a construction supervisor driving to a job site nearby. At first, he thought the officers had a good reason for stopping the driver. But when he saw the man sitting on the ground in a doctor's coat with a hospital badge, something didn't feel right. So he began recording. His phone camera captured everything. Dr. Elijah Carter sitting quietly on the gravel. 2 federal agents standing over him. Traffic moving slowly. People watching. Michael moved a little closer. Not too obvious. Just enough to hear. "Sir," Elijah said again, trying to stay calm. "I've shown you my badge. I've shown you my license." One officer replied without looking at him. "We're verifying information." Elijah's voice trembled slightly. "How long does that take?" No answer. Another 5 minutes passed. Michael zoomed his camera slightly. Elijah continued speaking. "I have a patient waiting for surgery right now." The second officer responded quietly. "If everything checks out, you'll be on your way." "But you haven't checked anything yet," Elijah said. That line would later become the most quoted moment in the video. Because it was true. 20 minutes had now passed. And no one had even run Elijah's identification. Michael whispered to himself behind the camera. "This doesn't look right." Then Elijah asked the question that changed the entire situation. "What description do I match?" The first officer hesitated. The second officer answered quietly. "Male. Dark-skinned. Driving a sedan." Michael lowered the camera slightly in disbelief. That description could match thousands of people. Elijah shook his head slowly. "That's not a description," he said softly. "That's just a category." The silence that followed was heavy. Cars continued passing. Drivers slowed down. Some started filming too. 26 minutes. Then finally, the officer took Elijah's license. He walked back to the SUV. Michael's camera zoomed in on Elijah's face. He looked exhausted. 30 seconds passed. 1 minute. 2 minutes. The officer returned. He handed the license back. "You're free to go." That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just those 3 words. Michael lowered his phone slowly. Elijah stood up carefully. His legs were stiff. His badge had dust on it. He looked at the officers for a moment. Then he said quietly, "A little girl almost died today because of this." The officers said nothing. Elijah got into his car and drove away. Michael ended the recording. He sat in his truck staring at the phone screen. He knew what he had just captured. Later that evening, he uploaded the video. Within hours, it began spreading across the internet. Thousands of views. Then hundreds of thousands. Then millions. News stations began calling. Civil rights organizations began asking questions. Because the video showed something undeniable. A doctor heading to save a child had been detained for over 30 minutes. Without explanation. Without checking his ID. And all of it was recorded. Within 48 hours, the video had been viewed over 10 million times. News anchors across the country replayed the footage. People watched Dr. Elijah Carter sitting quietly on the roadside. They heard him explain he was a doctor. They heard the officer say he matched a description. And they watched the moment when his identification was finally checked. After 30 minutes, public reaction was immediate. Doctors across the country spoke out. Parents of the little girl he was supposed to operate on spoke to reporters. They said something that shocked everyone. Elijah had still made it to the hospital. Late, but in time. The surgery had been successful. The child survived. But the questions remained. Why was he stopped? Why was his identification ignored? Why was he detained so long? A formal investigation began. Internal reports revealed something troubling. The officers had been searching for a completely different person. Different age. Different height. Different vehicle color. The only similarity? Skin tone. The investigation concluded the stop should never have happened. Both agents involved were suspended pending disciplinary review. New policies were announced requiring officers to verify identification immediately during roadside stops. Michael Torres, the man who recorded the video, was asked during an interview why he started filming. His answer was simple. Because something didn't feel right. Dr. Elijah Carter returned to work quietly. He didn't seek fame. He didn't seek interviews. He simply continued saving lives. But he did say one thing during a later interview that stayed with people. He said, "If that man hadn't recorded that moment, no one would believe me." And that may have been the most powerful truth of the entire story. Because sometimes justice begins with nothing more than a camera, and someone brave enough to press record. If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe to Black Power channel to enjoy more interesting and motivation stories.